Well met, lords and ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. I was about to go in that direction, but as it turns out, it's leaf blower time, so there you go. I guess I'll... Nope. I was about to say, to turn off? No, okay. I'll do the opposite this time. Because yeah, I am back here in this area, which, means one of two things. One of them is that that another quiz has taken place, which is the correct answer. The other one would be that I ran out of locations to go, which I've not done so. So, yeah, another quiz has come and gone precisely yesterday. It's always on a Tuesday. So, and another interesting development. So you know how, you might not know this actually, but I have not been feeling so well since Halloween actually, which is probably a combination of burnout from 3 long projects in quick succession, and also several other things have just this week has been quite busy, all things considered, actually. So I've been taking whatever chances I can to take it easy, and then I'm up for moments where my energy is required, like now, and then back to relaxing again and nursing the subsequent headache. So that's been all of that this week, including with the quiz. I'm not the only person that's being affected by that, so it might not just be the burnouts basically, but maybe it's a correlation or a causation thing. Because my dad has got it far worse than I do. He is quite in a rough state right now. He's whereas I get bursts of energy, he gets bursts of wanting to stand up and wander for a bit and then proceed to resume lying down. So, but he also mentioned headaches. So I think we do have the same thing. I just have a milder version of what he's got. So yeah. But yeah, that being said, things go on. They continue to happen, and here we are. And the quiz was no exception. But the reason that my dad's current state is relevant is because he wasn't there for the quiz. So once again, we were down a member, but it just wasn't the usual member that we're normally down. In fact, we were very nearly down 3 members because my aunt and my cousin wanted to go and see this particular football match that was taking place at the same time, and they were trying up until yesterday to get tickets. I wouldn't have thought there'd be available tickets the day before such an event, but apparently they were. Not like I've ever looked into purchasing football tickets, so I don't know how they compare really. So to, for example, concert ones, which I know are a subject of mass complaint on the internet. So I don't know. They weren't able to to secure those. So instead, they actually watched the match during the quiz itself, and a few of their reactions sounded like they were, saying, "Oh, did we get like a question wrong or something?" or like that answer. But no, they're just getting excited or disappointed about the match that they had on. I think it was my aunt's phone potentially. So, that was somewhat confusing. And of course, with pub quizzes, you're not normally. There's usually a no phone policy, but one of the hosts came over and saw that that it was just a football match, and it was very clear. I could have said something, or potentially vouched, even though I am biased, obviously, because they're part of my same team. But then again, she jokingly also remarked that that maybe I wasn't actually reading my copy of The Hobbit in Galician. the whole, but I was just pretending to do so, which is interesting because actually both the question of, you know, which epic fantasy novel takes place in the world of Middle Earth, even though there are various, came up, and what is it that for someone is, you know, what type of file, PHILE, are someone if you consider a lover of books? The answer, of course, being bibliophile, both of which I got. So, and then afterwards, after the quiz ended, that same host said to me that that she put in a few questions for me. And I said, yeah, I think I got them. And she said, you did. Because yeah, after they do, even though everyone marks everyone, they do check results and cross-reference, and you know, and as has been indicated to me by multiple parties in the past, they're the ones that that add and subtract based on the handicap system they have, not the person who is marking the paper. I will not make that same mistake again. So, so it was all so they need a moment to, I guess, go over everything anyway. And also, I guess it is my football watching aunt is usually the one who writes down the answer to the questions. Except we'd love when I say an answer, you know. She'll have everyone else call out certain things, but if I say an answer to a question, then she'll have me write it down, which is fine. It just means that, you know, my handwriting is comparatively obvious. So, yeah, that happens as well. Yeah, of course you're probably wondering what the results of the quiz actually were, and unfortunately, we didn't win. But neither did the usual team, actually. You know, we remarked that if we won again, we'd start getting booed like the regular team. Not that that's been any indication in the past, because we usually the pattern has been that the regular team, if they're not here, then we end up winning. That's happened both times thus far. But they were. And honestly, I keep trying to identify them because I'm just generally curious. The more I hear about like their team and their origin story, I said this last month. They apparently were down to 3 members at one point. Then they kind of like diversified their roster, gathered and gathered a collection of people, which we were going to do if we knew about the whole like, you know, match ticket situation. Well, we knew about it, but if we knew it was going to happen, which didn't. We like apparently my parents both had a few backups under consideration. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, we yeah. So unfortunately, you know, so that we didn't actually. I don't know what place we ended up in, because they only announced the first, you know, like the winning 5. Which normally we are amongst, but I don't know, I guess I thought I was fairly confident we'd done well this time, but they did say that it was all very close. So who's to say, really? Also, the theme ended up being, I guess, fitting for tonight, in fact, the gunpowder plot. And that was something that, you know, we were thinking like, oh, they're going to do like a late Halloween one. Are they going to do, you know, it turns out the music round was autumn and winter, so there was that too. I forgot I was actually going to go round the place. I shouldn't leave this area just yet. So yeah, I don't know. We definitely tried a bit, but that is definitely a blank area in terms of, you know, where I was. My aunt said that because I'm American, that I have an excuse, but also in general, I could have said, oh, I should have said I was Spanish. That would also, you know, equal an excuse. Because I mentioned the fact that I hadn't covered that particular part of history in school, because after I'd arrived, they had already covered it. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, had to rely on the others for that one. Which is fair, because there's normally like there's a few rounds where where usually I'm able to like contribute like 1 or 2 questions. I'm mostly good for the dingbats, but yeah, thanks to I guess those questions the host lined up for me, I was able to secure a few points towards the middle of the general knowledge, for example. But in terms of music, I can safely say that some of the times that they've played some of those tracks for us, I have recognized, in the words of Arnold Rimmer, a rough estimate, and bear in mind we have not accounted for the totals yet, about none of them. So, I don't... yeah. This time I do recognise a few of them, but then again so did the others, so yeah. That's how it goes sometimes. A lot of questions, even if you do know the answer, your teammates also do, so, you know. It's hard to say if, you know, individual credit ends up getting warranted. I got the answer of Frank Miller right. That was a guess, but I've had to thank the Nostalgia Critic for that one. So there you go. And I am turning around because I do not fancy being around when they drive away. Almost sounds like an alarm, actually. Yes, does wonders for the old headache, that does. Right, so yeah, I guess that's the important stuff in terms of you know, quiz moments and events and whatnot. But yeah, like I said, this week has been quite busy, so you know, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on. Like, for example, we went to get Indian food at one point with a family friend. But there's not much to talk about in terms of there, aside from the fact that their vegetarian options were not so vast, so we're probably not going to go back again. But hey, it's fine. But yeah, in general, I mentioned the fact that on Halloween I had 3 projects. One of which was an Occulta episode, a 5-hour Occulta episode actually, which was the way to round that off. There was also the Alternates review, which I was pre-recorded, but I had to make sure that it was all, you know, present and accounted for. And then, of course, there was the Aphmau song, the ever source of stress towards the end of months that I have now. Incidentally, I'm not going to continue doing an Aphmau song every month going into 2026. Because, I mean, all it's done right now is essentially end up the same place I was before in terms of, you know, Mutant Girl releases every 17th of the month back in 2019. There's a reason I stopped doing those as well, aside from general production quality. Ghosty has pointed out as well that it's sometimes quite obvious whether or not I'm, you know, super invested in the idea of a song compared to the ones that I'm doing that you know, I don't have as much of a drive for, so to speak. Although it must be said, for some of the Aphmau songs, we start off with one particular idea, like with the Halloween one actually, and then we just kind of like pivot to a different one. Not like, I mean, Halloween was a bit of an exception really, because the idea for Spectre and a Vessel actually was pitched and recorded 2 years ago. In fact, I think yesterday it was exactly 2 years ago when it was recorded. It was originally Emily and KW. I had to re-record KW, but I managed to find Emily's recorded audio footage from 2 years ago, which, once the song came out, Emily was not happy with. Aiden kind of assumed that she knew was going to happen, forgetting, of course, that for the sake of keeping things a surprise, I don't often tell people about specific, you know, video uploads or streams or projects or you know, much of anything, because, you know, it's like with the blind reactions that I do. The spontaneity is part of what I like about what I like about that, especially, especially when I deal with a lot of stuff that people have already seen and I haven't. So, whether or not it's me having the surprise or they have the surprise, for the sake of showmanship, of course, even if I don't see the effects directly, I know it's happened. And boy, did I get the aftermath of that. So yeah, Emily was unhappy about using that footage. I never re-recorded KW because I didn't have her old footage, otherwise I would have used that too. Just saying stuff like, oh, I see it at a different pitch now because it's been so long. It's like, well, yes, so all the more reason to use the version that was, that was the key that I needed. And for the record, Emily was the one who was the one who was, in time, I think, or more so than KW, who I guess who had less practice with that version. So what happened with Spectre and Vessel was, I said before that the whole idea of doing like these songs from the characters' perspectives, and particularly parodies, actually came from a YouTube channel called Aaron Fraser Nash, whose style I've been shamelessly ripping off for the past 7 to 8 years, nearly 8 years. It'll be 8 next month. Just, I've been doing so mainly with AFMAU characters instead. Now, it's worth pointing out that Aaron Fraser Nash has since moved on to doing only original songs, but actually, one of the easy things to do for me at the time was there would always be a credit to the karaoke link in one of his videos, which means that I quite a number of times, it's not just the style but also the songs themselves, and I'm like, oh, okay, I can do something with this, thanks to the link in the description usually. And that's what I was doing with Spectre and a Vessel back in the day. But there was a slight problem this time. I don't know if it was because, again, of like doing the pitch or something, but this was specifically a Princess Peach song. There was, a parody of Genie in the Bottle. But the version that was used, and the link that was there in the description was edited. The tempo was, I think, a little bit faster, and also but the pitch was definitely different. And when both Emily and KW practiced with those versions, I sent the Princess Peach one as a bit of a proof of concept of what I needed, and then the instrumental to practice with, not realizing that KW would practice with the original backing track, and Emily would practice with the sped up, pitched up Princess Peach version. So that's partly why the song didn't come out at the time, because it was too much of a pain to edit the two different times that they were doing together, and then also deciding which one of them to pitch up or pitch down. So actually, having Emily's stuff already in time with the Princess Peach version ended up working this time, because, and someone's got to do an alien check on me, I discovered this nifty little AI website that's able to remove vocals from a backing track far more easily than I would be able to. Like, I know how to do it to some degree, but the method that I have ends up with a lot of like compression and warbling, and also sometimes just like an echo in the background, especially if there's like backing vocals, for which, songs from the 2000s often do have a lot of backing vocals and harmonies, and that doesn't work when you want to remove them for a parody. So yeah, that's so as it turns out, that particular method I used for the past two songs, because the Hootin' a Blowfish one that I used was not one of their famous ones, and therefore there was no available backing track. So that's the method that I adopted from there for the Zane Crab one, or Crab Zane, if you will. I did the same thing for the Princess Peach one because I realized, I could try to get like the same BPM. It's more difficult when, findbpm.com has, the original version, or just the same. It doesn't tell you the pitch, obviously. Or I could just simply pop that in there, remove the vocals, and proceed as per normal. So I did that, and I actually edited the Emily version of this, or I say like the version with just Emily's vocals. Sent that to. Well, actually, no, I didn't. That was when I was. Oh no, well, I did send that to KW. I sent the backing track of the pitched up Princess Peach version, and that's the one that KW was practicing with before starting. And also, when we were recording it, we actually played the Emily version so that she could be like in time with Emily, so for extra security. There's still a few natural hiccups here and there because that's how it goes every time I direct vocals with different people, because I never seem to realize what parts people are going to struggle with or are going to be just things that I can account for in my own head, because I said that I've been trying to well, I might have said this on camera, but I've been trying to improve my impulse to start with extra syllables at the beginning of certain lines in songs, because I don't like doing that for the end of songs or like the end of lines, because that's where like the rhyme scheme goes, that's where the syllables go, that's where the whole vocal satisfaction goes. But you can do that with the beginnings, as long as you account for it, or you like slide up into it, or whatever, or you hold the note. Any of those options. And so I do that, and for me it's automatic, because that's my writing process. That's how I tend to accommodate if I don't have the exact syllable count that I need. That's fine unless I'm writing a song for someone else, and in that case I need to account for, they're not going to know how to do that, so they're going to start the beginning of the song, and then they're going to choke themselves up once they get to the end of the line, and then the whole thing gets thrown off. So and I started doing that, I started fixing that after writing Spectre the Vessel, which meant that I forgot it was part of the original lyrics, which I also sent to KW, obviously. So we had to deal with a little bit of that for one of the lines. There's also a couple of times where I cut out certain words, because it still kind of worked without them. So I think some of the captions might be incorrect for Ghost, because I just copy pasted from the lyrics because I was running out of time. Maybe. So yeah, time is of the essence, and I've had another session to attend immediately afterwards, and a stream at the same time. And right after that I started feeling ill. Who'd have known? What else has happened this week? That's right, we went to get the car, bought the car, and now we have the car. Can't believe I'm just sneezing that info out, but I also want to get back because I don't want to be out for too long, because the headache is coming back a little bit. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and lie down again. So yeah, and also, who knows, this week we might end up going to London at some point, but if we do end up doing that, I will tell people why, and why that's happening if it happens. So I'll save that detail for next week. Anything else I should talk about that happened this week? I don't know, other than that's why I had a gap of no uploads for the past couple of days. One was because I had another occultist session which got rescheduled due to a review that I was going to do yesterday, wasn't feeling up for, will end up doing tonight. and it's a whole fiasco. So yeah, we'll see if everything goes according to plan. Sequels to the Plex, episode 5, part 2 of the review will come out, and I'll talk about the other time that I was addled by sickness and that delayed the Sequels to the Plex production itself of that very video. So I guess with that in mind, I think I'll sign off now because I think I've covered everything. Probably, maybe. But yeah, hopefully it's understandable now why I went with the original old footage and also didn't want it to go to waste, because, you know, I always feel bad when I have to re-record somebody, you know, especially like years down the line. It's like, oh yeah, the thing that you did that you're super proud of. Yeah, do it again, please. So, but yeah. I think that's that. Yeah, I'm gonna head off. So please leave a like or dislike, because your opinion matters. Subscribe if you've done this already. If I missed out something, I'm sorry, I forgot about that. But on that note, until next time, farewell.